So, welcome, listeners. My name is Samia, and this is Jill. And joining me today is John Weiss, who is both a social media team and recent Department of Communication Studies alumni. So, hello, John. We're very happy to have you here with us. So, to help celebrate our department's 60th anniversary, we are highlighting fellow COMM scholars in the hopes of inspiring future students to reach for the stars after their academic journeys come to an end. So, would you walk us through your communication studies journey? What drove you to pursue both your bachelor's and master's degree in this line?
Yeah, of course. And happy to be here and revisit the SMT. As far as my comm journey, I had, sort of initially switched my major to communications on a whim from my previous major, which I had decided I wasn't interested in anymore and didn't really know what I wanted to do, and ended up just switching to comm because I thought it was broad and I could, sort of find my way from there. But once I got there, what I found was I really enjoyed the studies, and especially the people and the professors really made an impact on me, and how much passion they had for the field, and then as well as how broad it was, and how many different perspectives there are, and different sort of theoretical standpoints and interesting sort of stuff from that direction.
Okay. And then post grad, what was the job market like and how long did it take for you to get your current position?
Yeah, so after I graduated, I was still working at a restaurant job that I had been working at throughout my master's program, and I stuck it out there for a little while I was sort of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my degree and whether I wanted to go corporate or sort of stick with where I was at. And I ultimately decided I wanted to get into sales in tech, and so I began that process probably 3 or 4 months after I graduated, um, but really started going after it probably around last let's see, April or May was when I really started doing interviews and getting in the door at some places. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a pretty competitive job market at the time. In the previous year, there was quite a bit of layoffs in sales and specifically in tech as well. So the job market itself was sort of flooded with lots of qualified candidates, people that had 1 to 2 years more experience than I did. So I had a rough go of it at first, but at the end of the day, I was really happy to have gone through that tough experience, however stressful it was, because it taught me how to prepare really well for interviews, and it taught me how to do research on companies that I was going into, and how to do my best at setting myself apart from maybe other candidates that were interviewing. Um, so yeah, I'd say if I had to put a number on it, I'd say it took about, 3 to 4 months before when I really started interviewing to when the first day on the job.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Definitely try out things that, work for you and definitely ones that don't. So according to GRIN's website, GRIN is the world's first creator management platform, turning brands into household names through the power of authentic content creator relationships. Do you mind walking us through the purpose of the company?
Yeah, of course. So Grin is a company that is revolves around the creator economy, right? So, what you're seeing on social media these days is that people are no longer following brands as much as they once were. People don't have favorite brands, they have favorite influencers, and they're very affected by the products they buy and the products they promote and stuff like that. So, what Grin has done is just sort of try to become the software centerpiece of that entire creator economy, is what they call it, and allow different brands to leverage that and scale their program in a way that's manageable and in a way that is going to be profitable for them.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, what was your role within that company?
So I'm a business development representative there. It's sort of a fancy word for entry level sales role. There's different names for it across the industry. It could be sales development representative, account development representative, but really, if you're interested in jobs in tech and sales in particular, really that entry level level is going to be along the lines of a BDR.
What exactly do you do as a business development representative? And could you tell me about your, daily tasks and how they contribute to the overall company success?
Yeah. So one thing that's important to know is for anyone who's watching this, who's interested in getting into sales, is that every organization is going to be structured and built completely differently. Um, so that's definitely one thing you want to do research on. But going into an interview with a company, and you can look on websites like Glassdoor to sort of see how it's structured and what the daily tasks are. Me personally, or I guess in general, a business development representative, like I said, is the entry-level sales role. What they're going to be doing is reaching out to potential customers that they've done research on that they think would be a good fit for the product that that company is selling. And then they're going to strategize outreach to them in a way. It could be phone calls, emails, sending them different customer success stories. I mean, it goes on and on, but really at the end of the day, what the goal is you're driving interest for the product. And then at the point that you've got someone who's potentially interested in buying the product as in that entry level role, that's when you would pass the potential customer off to maybe a more experienced salesman who would either close the deal or that's the ultimate goal, is to close the deal. So really what you're doing is drumming up potential customers for the company and then passing that off to a more senior level salesman, which is usually holds the title of account executive. But like I said, every company has different names and structures, but just generally speaking, that's the role of a business development representative.
So, like you said, the job market was flooded, and you saw that people had 1 to 2 years more experience, but that wasn't saying you were without experience. I'm interested to know how your master's degree has been useful to you at Grin and what specific things you learned during your master's degree journey that you applied at Grin.
Yeah, so in the interview process for sure, I'm at least going into it, I thought that, having that master's degree was going to be a huge bump and people were going to say, "Oh, wow, like this is so impressive." And it's definitely, a bonus point on my resume, don't get me wrong, but the real benefit I got from it was you know, what I learned and really the experiences that I had in that master's program. For example, um, as we talked about earlier before the recording, I ended up doing exams for my final project for my master's, and during that process, there is a sort of, can't think of the word, like council of professors that sort of grills you on your topic and tries to find holes in it, and then you can go back and adjust that. But really, that was really difficult process for me because it took a lot of courage to get in front of my professors and have them grill you, and it's really a tough situation to be put in, necessary but tough. And so that process in particular made me feel more ready for not only the job interview aspect, but I referenced that specific moment in my master's process a lot. Like when the question comes up, or what are some difficulties that you faced in school? Like I talked all about, the difficulty of going through a master's exam process and doing all that research and compiling it into a huge report. Um, it really just gave me valuable skills and stories to reference that were able to reflect my ability to do research and to exist in that space, I guess.
That's really
Did that answer your
cool.
question? Was there a second part to that?
No, that was a good answer.
Feel free to clarify. I feel like I kind of went on a little bit there, but yeah, um, really the experience and the difficulties that and the challenges that I faced, being able to reference those in an interview scenario is huge during that process. So definitely take note of those experiences and be able to explain them in a way that paints yourself in a proper light is really important for sure.
I think you touched and covered a lot on all the topics that we were intending to ask you, but I was just curious that I know that being a business development representative sounds cool, but can you give like an example of a project or a task where your master's degree knowledge really came in handy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. I'm trying to think of one that I didn't already reference. I would really just say, I think one of the things, all right, let me take a step back. One of the things that people really struggle with getting into sales, I think, and just from what I've read and what I've seen around me is, um, people really don't like or get really nervous talking to people face to face or over the phone, for the first time. Like, for example, in my job, basically cold calling a lot of people saying, "Hey, like, have you heard about us?" In a much better way than that. And I think people get really nervous about that, but that's one aspect that I have not struggled with at all, and that I actually find um, fun in a challenging way because I want to perfect that process. And it really brings me back to, like I said, that master's exam evaluation, and then also just my regular classes. In my experience as a master's student, I had so many classes where, we're just sitting there having a great discussion about, this topic or that topic. I'm sure there was a million different ones, but um, really being able to articulate and talk clearly and concisely, quickly, and being on your feet in a sort of not debate scenario, but really you're going back and forth with someone rather quickly and you don't know what they're going to say and you're talking about a certain topic. It really just brings me back to being in that master's, that program and in those classes. And that was just really extremely valuable to me for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed all your questions or it's all your answers to our questions. And just to wrap it up, do you have any final advice for upcoming graduates that want to jumpstart their career?
Yeah, of course. This is going to be super cliche, but like I said, it took me almost 5 months to get a job, and during that time, there was a lot of stress, and I was going through it a lot, and I definitely got rejected on a bunch of job interviews before I got that yes, and so that was really exciting, and while you do need perseverance, and you do need to work hard, and you do need to do your research, all those things, obviously, clearly, but it's also important to know that everything happens for a reason and that you're going to land right where you need to be. So try not to stress in that post graduation life. Not saying not to take it seriously, like I said, definitely a lot of research and hard work that goes into it, but really enjoy that time as you're trying to get your first job and learn a lot from the experience, and everything's going to work out exactly how it's supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, John. We appreciate your presence on all of our platforms and your contribution to our department over the years. And additionally, we would like to give thanks to the viewers for watching, and we would like to say happy celebration to our comm department for our 60th anniversary. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Hope you guys do well. Finish strong. All right. Have a good week, guys. Bye.
Oh, thank
You
you.
too.